Hi everyone! We're going to be tackling a couple of more different tools here in Illustrator, so if you haven't watched video 1, you might want to go back and watch it if you're just getting started with Illustrator, because I cover things like the pen tool and different types of strokes and so on. Today we're going to be talking about shape modes. Shape modes you can find in a menu called Pathfinder, and if ever you can't find a tool in Illustrator, it's probably hiding from you in the window menu, which is up at the top of the screen. And you can't see it on my screen because I'm doing a screen share right now, but if you go to Window, you should be able to check Pathfinder as a menu on, and that will get you here. That will get you this little menu right here, probably floating on top of everything else. I have it put to the side here so you guys can see it. So we're going to be talking about shape modes and how to use them to create shapes for your icon project. So this is Pathfinder Tools, and I'm going to go to this little document that's all cleared out, so let's get started. The first one that we want to talk about is this one. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. This is Unite. So the very first topmost, leftmost mode in this menu is called Unite, and it does exactly what you would think it would do. It takes all of the shapes and makes them into one flat shape. You can see that I've got 2 circles here. They are 2 separate shapes. And I'm going to make a copy of these, and I'm going to paste them here. Oops, accidentally pasted them twice. I'm going to use Unite to make this into one shape. So right now it is two different separate shapes, and now I'm going to use Unite to make them into one shape. And as you can see, they can't be separated now. This would be really useful if, say, you were going to be making a Mickey Mouse logo. So 1 big circle and 2 smaller circles. But I wanted this to be all one shape instead of separate ones like it is now. I can select them all and I can make it into one unified shape. That's what Unite does. And so when you're trying to flatten your objects, when you're making different shapes for like a logo or this icon project that we're doing, this is a really good tool for you to use. Let's talk about Subtract. It does exactly what you think it would do. It's like a cookie cutter. It cuts one shape out of another shape. This can be really useful if you're trying to do like a positive negative shift in a logo design. So let's copy and paste these 2 shapes. I'm going to change the color of this one just so you can see what's going on. And we'll want to take the shape that we're cutting out of the other shape and put it on top of it, like this. And so now what I'm going to do is to select both of them, and we're going to go up here to the shape modes and hit minus front. And so what that did was essentially cut a hole in the shape of the other shape. So we're subtracting that shape from the one that we put it on top of. So you want to put your cookie cutter on top of your cookie dough and chop it out. It works just like a punch cut. So Intersect. Intersect is good for Venn diagrams and optical illusions. Intersect is going to make a shape out of that negative space in between these 2 shapes. So let me copy and paste this guy as an example. And as you can see, that crossover is the shape that we're actually going to be making. This would be really good if you were making leaves. So let's go ahead and use Intersect to make a leaf shape. So as you can see, it's that negative shape that was in between my 2 circles. The next one that we want to think about is called Exclude. And this creates a space where the 2 shapes cross over. Okay, so let me copy and paste this. So it's kind of like this one, only this one made a positive shape where the 2 shapes crossed over. Exclude will actually make a negative shape where the 2 shapes cross over. So you can see the difference between Intersect and Exclude here. So we make sort of 2 Pac-Man-like shapes here. Okay, so Trim. Trim is this next one here. These are all trims, but they do slightly different things. This is called Divide, this is called Trim, and the Trim one, essentially, it does what you think it would do. You'll put one shape on top of another shape and you can trim it out. So let's make a Pac-Man shape. I'm going to go ahead and use a ellipse tool here. Let's go ahead and make Pac-Man yellow. And what I'm going to do is to cut out a mouth. So I'm going to use a star to do this. So I need a good sized star. And what we're going to do is essentially just position this where we would want our mouth to be cut out. Select both of the shapes, and now I'm going to go in here to Trim. It doesn't look like it did anything, but when I remove this shape, you can see that it actually cut that out of the other shape. And so now we have a Pac-Man. So that's what Trim does. You place whatever object on top of your original, and then you can hit this trim button. So we won't go over the rest of these because I think that'll probably not be as helpful, but you can test out what these Pathfinder tools do just by stacking shapes on top of one another and seeing what they do. So again, let's go over these one more time. Unite, which is this one right here, it creates a big unified shape out of two smaller shapes. Subtract is like a cookie cutter, so you can cut one shape out of another shape. Intersect is where two shapes cross over. It's going to make a positive shape there. Exclude is where two shapes cross over. It is going to make a negative shape. And then trim, you can trim one object with another as long as the object that you want to use as your trim object is on top of the other shape. So I took my little circle, I stacked a star on top of it, and I used it as a trim. Okay, so that does it for Pathfinder tools. Next up, let's talk about the blend tool. So I'm going to be making a blend by selecting both of the shapes that I want to make a blend with, and then I'm going to go to Object Blend Make. And it'll look like mine if you've selected specified steps and you've selected that number to be 8. So here we go. I'm going to select both of these, and I'm going to go to Object Blend Make. Okay, Object Blend Make. I'm going to do that for the rest of these as well. Get rid of this extra stuff here. So I'm going to select both of my shapes here, Object, Blend, Make, Object, Blend, Make, Object, Blend, Make. And you might be thinking, why are we going to such trouble to isolate colors here? If you have a limited color palette, your colors will automatically look harmonious. You can use this trick for illustrations and paintings. Painters definitely use a similar tip by adding a certain color to all of their colors to create harmony. So I'm going to pause the video here, and I'm going to go ahead and make the grays and the black. Okay, so remember, tint, add white, tone, add gray, and shade is add black. So I'm going to stop the video because it's not going to be terribly exciting to watch me do all of these. So be right back. So let's make our first icon together. We're going to be taking advantage of some of these Pathfinder modes that we went over in order to do this. So we're going to be making this really simple little succulent pot. This is a beginner level Illustrator tutorial, so if you're more advanced, then just go ahead and start tackling your icon design. You can skip the last part of this video. Alright, so let's grab our shape tool. We're going to be using the circle parts of the ellipse to create leaves. Remember how I said we could use Pathfinder to create leaves? Well, we're going to do that. So let's make ourselves 2 circles. And by the way, a really nice shortcut in Illustrator is to hold in I on the keyboard and get this little eyedropper tool. And then I can select whatever color I would like to make things, which is really nice. So I'm going to make myself a circle. I'll copy and paste it on top of itself. So what I'm hitting is Command C, Command F. Command C, Command F is paste on top. So I'm going to move this over. I'm just doing that with my arrow keys, and as you can see, if I select both of these, I get a nice little leaf shape. So let's scoot this over a little bit more so it's a little skinnier. And now what we're going to do is to use Intersect in order to create a leaf shape. Alright, so that might be a little confusing. Let me do that one more time. I'm going to go ahead and put 2 ellipses on top of one another. So Command C, Command F, select the 2 circles once I'm happy with my leaf shape. Like that. And I'm going to go up here to Intersect, and we're going to make a leaf shape out of that. Alright, so here's our little leaf. Let's copy and paste one of these leaf shapes on top of one another because we're going to be dividing the shape in half. Okay, so here's our leaf. I'm going to copy and paste it. We're going to make a copy of our leaf shape that is a lighter color. And I'm just using the eyedropper tool to sample that color. And what I'm going to do is essentially delete one side of this leaf. So I need my white arrow to be able to do that. So make sure that you've got the white arrow selected. And I'm going to click on one side of this leaf and I'm going to hit delete. And as you can see, I've created like a little half leaf that I need to go in and close that shape using the pen tool. So I'm going to use my pen tool. That's P on the keyboard. You can also just get to it by clicking on this little pen. I'm going to close this shape. See how it makes a little circle? Like that. Now I've got a leaf and a leaf half. I'm going to put that on top of my leaf. And that's what my succulent leaves are going to look like. So as you can see, I've varied the size here. Some of them are a little longer, some of them are a little shorter. You can have fun with the shape of your leaves. I'm just going to use the bounding box. See how you can select it and get a bounding box with the black arrow selected in order to vary the shapes of my leaves a little bit. So I'm going to stretch this one out so it's nice and tall. I'll copy and paste that. I'm going to use rotate, that's this tool right here, to move, to rotate the leaf over so it looks like it's leaning this way, right? So again, I'm going to keep making copies of my leaf. I'm just pasting them in front here. Get the rotate tool, rotate it around, use the bounding box to resize it. There we go, there we go. So now we have a cute little succulent. We're going to rotate this entire thing around a little bit so it's a little bit more naturalistic looking. There we go. All right. I'm going to pause here for a sec. Okay, so we have our little set of leaves, that is our succulent, and now let's make a pot. So it's pretty simple. We're going to be using the rectangle tool in order to do this. So I'm going to go ahead and grab the rectangle version of my shape tool, and I'm just going to draw the top of our pot. Now, if we were going to be accurate in the dimensions of this, we would be making a rounded top. But this is an icon, so we're doing a simplistic illustration today. So I'm going to be moving this up on top of our leaves here. And now I'm going to make a copy of it. Copy, paste. So here's our second copy. I'm actually going to use the white arrow to change the shape of this. So first of all, I can use my bounding box to resize anything I would like to. That's these little edge, this little edge interface. There we go, that looks about right. But we need to make our pot a lot longer on the bottom. So I'm going to select the bottom portion with the white arrow, just these 2 points. And I'm going to drag them down like that. Now another nice tip here in Illustrator is if you want to change the proportion of something, you can use scale to do that. So what I've done is select the bottom, only the bottom, with my white arrow. And now I'm going to hit S on the keyboard for scale. You can also click on this little guy here. This is the scale icon. Now I can hold in Shift on the keyboard and move this bottom part of my pot inward, like that. Okay, let's do that again. I'll roll it back. All right, white arrow, select the bottom, hit S on the keyboard, or just select the tool over here. And now holding in Shift, we're scaling it in a little bit. There we go. So there's our cute little succulent icon. And this is just practice for the icon project. And I hope you've enjoyed this little tutorial. Hopefully you learned something about shape modes and about how to make your own color palettes. As you can see, I've got another color palette over here, just like the one that we made together. And I look forward to seeing the icons that you make. Let me know if you have any questions as always, and see you next time.